I want to welcome you to today's convening entitled Catholic Social Teaching and Work with Migrants and Refugees at a Time of Uncertainty. Thank you for attending, for participating, and for bearing witness. And thank you to the staff here supporting the effort, and a special thanks to Kevin Appleby with CMS, Don Kerwin, and Kelly Ryan at JRS for your indefatigable and always excellent organizing. To speak of a time of uncertainty that is today's moment and today's time, to meet as we are meeting today, is in fact to engage in a long-held Catholic practice of reading the signs of the times. We know this idea well, which is so necessary in the moment. Reading the signs of the times calls us to listen to, learn from, engage with the world to assess the joys and hopes, griefs, and the anxieties of the age, so that we can discern God's presence, guidance, and engage with contemporary challenges and opportunities, and to respond with faith and wisdom, rooted in the gospel and church tradition. So these times, time of uncertainty, especially for migrants and refugees, we feel it with a particular force, with a particular violence, and particular consequent suffering. We feel dismay and shock, even as our own sense of surprise begins perhaps to dull and diminish. So it's a heavy challenge, how to remain calm and hopeful. Are these times for migrants globally and domestically a first? No. For this generation, perhaps, but in fact, no. Literally 101 years ago, the United States passed the Immigration Act, reactive legislation that created nationality quotas, was inspired by eugenics, and amounted to a rewinding of the country's racial and ethnic mix. Just as profoundly, it was a new framing of migration policy, framing it under a legal versus illegal paradigm. That is, that migrants' identity and movement would be regulated through visas and their presence defined by deportability or non-deportability. The anxieties about identity, culture, and race seem to be very much like those in the political and social psyche today. And just as interestingly, with the same percentage of immigrants as part of the total population today, about 14%. So not much really is in fact perhaps different. But 100 years of more or less legislative neglect and failures to think and rethink policy have led us to where we are today. Again, trapped in this paradigm of illegal versus illegal, of border security versus order, of criminality, predation, fear versus safety, of economic and social exploitation versus protecting national interests, and so on. In those paradigms, we miss the deeper, more essential priorities of dignity, family, civic society, and community, labor, opportunity, values that produce the common good. So we see exclusion, ratcheting up, refugee resettlement, loss of CHNV, Title 42, remain in Mexico, and more. And we see expulsion, mass deportation, the driving out of so many or into the shadows. By CMS's latest count, in fact, that number is about 12.2 million of undocumented. So it is in this very difficult space in these times that we find ourselves, and it is for this reason that we're here today as a community of faith, leaders, voices, thinkers, service providers, to enter into it and with calm and constancy, with vision and valor, and with hope and help. Today we'll hear from His Eminence Fabio Cardinal Baggio with the Vatican Dicastery, and His Eminence Robert Cardinal McElroy on the global and the domestic realities and challenges for migration from a Catholic social teaching perspective. And then later in the day, we will have 3 excellent panels on the rights, the duties, and the freedoms, moral and social, on migration and movement, on protection, and on religious expression. These are beginning but important conversations touching on where we are at present, touching on what's at stake, and touching on what are the deepest source points and truths from which flow the works of mercy, the works of justice and compassion, works that bring together the divine and human imaginations. So thank you for attending. I'll pass it to you now, Dawn.
Thank you, Mario. I appreciate the kind words, and it's always great to partner with you as well. I'm very grateful to His Eminence Fabio Cardinal Baggio, who had the good sense to send us a video presentation this AM from El Paso, where he has a fully scheduled day ahead of himself. Cardinal Baggio serves as Undersecretary of the Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development. He's been a particular leader in the Migrants and Refugees section of the Dicastery, which has been for all of us a leading source of knowledge, resources, and inspiration in this work. Among many other positions, Cardinal Baggio previously directed the Department of Migration for the Archdiocese of Buenos Aires. He's been a professor at the Universidad del Salvador in Buenos Aires, the Institute of Theology at Sao Paulo, the Scalabrini International Migration Institute, which is incorporated in the Pontifical Urban University in Rome, and the Mary Hill School of Theology in Quezon City, which is metropolitan Manila. For 8 years, he directed the Scalabrini Migration Center, Quezon City, and he served as editor of the Asian Pacific Migration Journal during that time. He's going to speak on Catholic social teaching on migration from a global perspective, and we're very grateful to His Eminence for joining us today from El Paso.